All right, joining me in the studio is a media specialist and social entrepreneur, Kingsley Obum-Ebulem. It's good to have you join me right now, Kingsley. You've watched that report. I wonder what is going through your mind when you saw that.
The reporter said it beats one hollow. I was beaten hollow.
It's really a serious issue.
But you see, despite the provision of the school, like I was saying, the damage that has been done to the kids who went through that school in the past years cannot be reversed, because that was something that happened within the formative years of a child. And irrespective of the ability or the natural capacity and potentials that the child possesses, education is critical. Education is important in turning that child into whoever he or she has been designed to become. So this is good. Like they say, it's better late than never. So we're hopeful that those coming now will benefit. But like your colleague alluded to, it's not about the structures. It's about the software, the human resources, the human element within the school system, the curriculum. Because in the absence of the right resource persons, in the absence of an inclusive curriculum, which is actually the real issue now, that building would just remain an ordinary block and mortar. Nothing will be happening. They just have
nothing will change.
No, nothing will change. They just have a fine building.
Yeah, but let's look at it. The SDG goal talks about the issue of inclusive and education and affordable education by 2030. How far away from that goal are we as a nation?
When you say how far away, you're talking about the years.
How close are we? Not necessarily about
in terms of achieving that goal.
Exactly, achieving the goal.
Very far, and that's because I can't really count the number of schools that are actually running inclusive curriculum in Nigeria, except one in Port Harcourt. And what is inclusive education? Inclusive education is a process where schools can accommodate everybody that is, willing to learn, and they are able to provide learning and teaching materials for everybody. Now, when I mean everybody, I mean irrespective of the person's abilities and disabilities. And so, for you to put together a system where anybody who intends to learn can go and learn, it means you must have trained the people who are able to provide inclusive education. And right now, our teachers are even struggling to teach children who don't have learning disabilities. I'll give you another instance. If you have a child who is dyslexic, the child cannot attend a regular school. You know why? Because they term the child as a slow learner. And a dyslexic child is a child who has difficulty reading and interpreting written text. So the child cannot read. But dyslexic children are very intelligent. I use the word very with emphasis. And so if you have a teacher who is frustrated teaching children who can read and write, how can that teacher cope with a dyslexic child? And so you need
it has to do with identifying the abilities of different students and different children, and then capitalizing on that. Now, where we are right now, if we have to take steps towards reversing the damage that has been done, like you said, or trying to manage it, where should we go? Where should we start from, and what should be done?
I think we need to master the basic before we even get to inclusive education. What is the basic? The basic is effective running and administration of public schools. Right now, our public schools are in shambles. How do you run an effective public school? Simple. You need to constitute what I call a school administration committee. I don't know where you live in Lagos, but I can assure you that children travel very far to access the primary school within your neighborhood. Now, if we want to major in the simple things, first of all, children should not travel too far to get to public primary schools. That's one. Now, when they walk to the nearest school, that school should be a school that runs through a committee. Now, the school we saw in Kwara, the donation was done by the community.
By the community.
So, to run schools very well, public schools, we need to have what they call a community system of administration, where those within that locality are given the mandate to ensure that the school runs very well.
All right. We have to leave it here now. We must thank you so much, Kingsley, for coming on the program this morning.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Joining me in the studio is a media specialist and social entrepreneur, Kingsley Obum-Egbulem. Thank you for joining us. I hope I got your name correctly.
You got it. You got it.
All right, let's...
You nailed it.
All right, now let's look at the issues of inclusive education, especially when you talk about university basic education in Nigeria. It talks about one of its philosophies is access to basic education, equal access. But then when you want to evaluate how Nigeria has fared in that aspect.
In terms of UBE?
Yes. How well have we done in this aspect?
Actually, in fairness, we've done so well. We've I don't have the specific statistics now, but we have more children in school now than before. That's the truth. Even though the number of children out of school still continues to hit the roof. What am I trying to say? The UBE goal was to have more children in school. We have more children in school, but the number of children out of school are still much.
Now, the aspect of equal access is the issue.
No, we are far from equal access. By equal access, you mean access to the right educational materials, access to the right learning conditions, access to well-trained teachers. Then you also have what I call fair evaluation. In other words, a child who is not as good in chemistry should not be evaluated with another child who is gifted when it comes to
now chemistry. That's where inclusiveness comes in. So how critical is the issues of having inclusiveness in education?
I think it's the lifeblood of our educational system if we are able to get there. Why did I say that? People need to understand that the not so endowed amongst us need support. And the reason we have the system that we run now, where everybody to himself, God for us all, where we all are local government areas on our own. You run your water, you run your lights, you tie your road, you do everything, you build your fence, is because of the kind of education system that we have. If people who went to school with classmates who had learning disabilities, they are more empathic. For instance,
really?
Yes, if you had a roommate who is visually challenged and you have to help her to school back and forth, you'll be different when you see people who need help because you've had a classmate whom you were able to assist every day. So you get used to the fact that man is not equally endowed, but the strong, so-called strong, should be able to complement the not so strong.
But is our environment encouraging, these issues or this inclusive education? Because we see issues of discrimination, staring us in the face.
That's why we need to start now. The earlier we start, the better. We'll get used to it. I'll give you an instance. I don't know if you have friends who have siblings with one form of challenge or the other.
Absolutely do.
They don't behave like every other person. Now, why you see their sibling who maybe is not working so well, you see them hugging their sibling and say, Jide, stand up, come and eat. And you're wondering, this is your brother, can he eat? You say, yes, he can eat, he can read, he can write, he can sing, he can dance.
They have a positive mindset.
That is the word. They have a positive mindset. They are receptive. They are welcoming. And so if we are able to have inclusive education, that is what you're going to see within our society, where people can complement people who are not exactly like them, and we can learn to live like them. And don't forget, when these people start to run our system, they know that the system is not only for the so-called normal people, but for everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kingsley, for coming on TVC Breakfast.